Coming up on the Angus Report, the historic reopening of U.S. beef into China.
State governments weigh in on the Waters of the United States rule.
Understanding the long-term impacts of antibiotic use.
Why profitability and sustainability go hand in hand on the ranch. And we're joined in the studio by Chelsea Good of the Livestock Marketing Association.
This is the Angus Report. Hello and welcome to the Angus Report. I'm Bob Cervera.
And I'm Crystal Albers.
Our top news this week. An historic trade deal between the United States and China will soon reopen the Chinese market for U.S. beef imports. It's a major victory for the nation's cattle producers, which have been excluded from the market for more than a decade. The agreement included several key trade issues between the U.S. and China, and beef exports are expected to begin as soon as July. CattleFax senior market analyst Kevin Good explains.
Getting beef into China, it's been on the back burner really for a number of years. Finally, when President Trump met with their president here a couple months ago, it came to the forefront. And hopefully here over the next week or two, we'll learn all the details, some of those hurdles that we have to jump through. Once they're written into law, then we'll have a better idea of what we have to do to get access into China. We should be able to get in and get our foot in the water, foot in the door, and get some product to them by this summer. Imports into China over the last few years have exploded for beef. Presently they import about 1.3 billion pounds. And also you could say and talk about the greater China region and include Hong Kong, it's about 2.7 billion pounds. And so, just getting a fraction of that business would be a huge benefit for the U.S. cattlemen.
The Environmental Protection Agency and U.S. Army are soliciting input from states on a new definition of protected waters under the Controversial Waters of the United States, or WOTUS rule. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt says the agency needs to work with state governments to understand what they think is the best way to protect their waters and existing actions already in place. According to the EPA, the Clean Water Act asserts federal control over navigable waters without providing clarity or details about the law's scope. In late February, the federal agencies were directed to roll back and replace the current WOTUS rule. The EPA also recently launched a new website to provide public information on the agency's review. Visit epa.gov/WOTUS rule to learn more.
Gaining a better understanding of why certain bacteria could become resistant to antibiotics is a growing concern for both human and animal health. That's according to Dr. Steve Solomon, a former official with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. He explains that while antibiotic resistance is a serious issue, there's still much research to be done, and antibiotics will always be an important option for doctors and veterinarians alike.
So we do know that we all need to think differently about the way we use antibiotics. But what we don't know is what are the major factors leading to the antibiotics causing infections in people. That's why I would really like to see doctors, veterinarians, people in business and industry work together and have real constructive conversations. How to use antibiotics in a way that is optimum for reducing the threat of antibiotic resistance. We're never going to do away with antibiotics, nor should we.
This year in particular, we're reminded how devastating prairie wildfires can be to the land and the livestock. With abundant moisture through the previous fall and winter, new growth this spring has exploded, leaving greater fuel for the fire's flames. The Public Lands Council and National Cattlemen's Beef Association recently released a campaign that shines a spotlight on how grazing on public lands helps mitigate the risk of catastrophic wildfires, the leading threat to species like the greater sage grouse. Ethan Lane, Executive Director for the Public Lands Council, says that in the West, the potential fire fuel loads are building at the same time that the livestock numbers of federal grazing permits continue to shrink. The organization urges Congress to provide greater flexibility within federal agencies so ranchers can use grazing as a tool to protect sagebrush and native forage before a fire. Visit grazingpreventswildfires.com to learn more.
Brisket disease, or high mountain disease, is a condition that can impact cattle in high elevations, causing pulmonary artery hypertension, which can lead to congestive heart failure. Through years of dedicated research, scientists have developed a test to measure pulmonary arterial pressure, or a PAP test, to determine which animals are most at risk for brisket disease. Colorado Angus breeder Skylar Houston explains how the test, developed with support from the Angus Foundation, has made a difference to his operation.
We do what we call PAP testing, pulmonary arterial pressure testing here. The ranch sits at a little under 5,000 feet, and we have breeding stock, such as these breeding heifers here, or breeding bulls that will go to the mountains above 7,000. And so we do a test here and can get an indication of their PAP score and know how that they're going to do at altitude. So that's something we've worked closely with Dr. Holt at Colorado State University. It's a fairly heritable trait. I think it's about 70% heritable, and so if those animals test positive for it, it's something that it's going to be carried on to their offspring, but it's something that, like I say, going into the mountains is just a very important test that we do for our customers there. We try to help support the foundation and their efforts, and this is just one small part of what the foundation does, but we feel that they're a great asset to our industry and Angus cattle in general.
Visit angusfoundation.com for more information on research projects that benefit the Angus breed. And we go now to Jenna McCrell for a look at what you need to know this week in the Angus business.
This week in Athens, Georgia, the Beef Improvement Federation will host its annual research symposium and convention. The event brings together leading animal scientists, progressive cattle breeders, and partners to explore ways to improve the beef business moving forward. The conference opens on Wednesday, May 31st with the Young Producer Symposium and then continues with educational workshops and sessions through Friday, June 2nd. Angus Media's communications team will be on hand to provide comprehensive coverage from the event, and that'll be online at bifconference.com. And will feature many of the speakers in future episodes of the Angus Report. It's time to place your orders for a cattleman's favorite resource, Angus Source Black Books. The pocket-sized book includes a calendar as well as space to keep management records on your cow herd. Orders will be accepted for the 2018 Black Books until July 31st. Any quantity is available for $3 each, and the books can be customized with your farm or ranch logo with the purchase of 100 or more. The 2018 books will be shipped by October 15th. Contact the Angus Source Department to place your order today or email blackbooks@angus.org. And that's what you need to know this week in the Angus business.
When we return, a look at what sustainability really means for cattle producers and what it doesn't.
Then I sit down with Chelsea Good of the Livestock Marketing Association for an update on issues affecting the nation's auction markets.
Visit angus.media to continue watching this episode of the Angus Report.
Forward. It's more than a direction. It's mandatory. Because the beef business rewards the progressive, the doers, the ones who know what it takes to go easy on cattle and never set them back. So set your eyes on the horizon, turn your back to the wind, and move your herd the only way you know. Forward. Vista Vaccines. Always ahead.
Today's beef consumer has questions. BQA has the answers. Your Beef Quality Assurance certification allows you to share a story that assures customers that you are responsibly raising a safe, wholesome, and healthy beef supply. Becoming BQA certified just became even more convenient with a new interactive training experience that is online and available 24/7. So what are you waiting for? Get started today by visiting bqa.org.
My name is Jim Collins with Collins Farms here in Casita, Alabama. We've been in the business for 70 years and focus on making functional commercial Angus females and balanced trait Angus bulls that we market across the Southeast. While we're predominantly a commercial herd, we run 350 commercial cows and 60 to 75 purebred cows. We were very interested when we first heard that G-Max was coming to the market for commercial animals, and we started with G-Max Focus. We've been using the G-Max Advantage ever since it was launched. We've used the HD50K and I50K products on the purebred side of it. Currently, all of our purebred animals are I50K tested, and then all of our commercial heifers are G-Max Advantage tested. And we'll probably now go back and do G-Max Advantage on the rest of our older mature cows so that I'll have that full pool of results on our entire commercial herd.
Learn more at genemaxadvantage.com.
Did you know? that your checkoff works to grow demand for U.S. beef in more than 80 countries? Did you know export markets add more than $250 in value to each head? Did you know your checkoff works to develop, defend, and dispel in an effort to expand international markets? While you're focused on managing your beef business, your checkoff is developing new foreign markets and defending those where U.S. beef is currently sold. Get to know your checkoff at mybeefcheckoff.com.
Hi, I'm Red Stegall. I'd like to invite you to the 2017 Angus Convention, November 4th through the 6th, right here in historic Fort Worth. It's also open to all cattle producers, whether you own Angus cattle or not. Now, you'll enjoy 4 days of Texas hospitality, a ranch tour, an industry-leading trade show, and some of the best educational opportunities in the business. But best of all, you'll get to be with your Angus family, celebrating the successes of the breed and charting a course for the future.